She was an actress with big potential. Then Brittany Murphy died young. Well, now a new HBO Max documentary is looking into the star's troubled final year.
Fire Department 97, what's the address of the emergency?
1895 Rising Glen Road.
What's the phone number you're calling from? Tell me exactly what happened.
Oh, somebody's passed out.
Somebody what?
My daughter's passed out. We're doing back to back, please.
Yeah, okay. All right, we're going to. How old is your daughter?
She's 30, please.
She's 30.
Rumor has it that Ashton Kutcher is about to reveal some damning evidence that connects Diddy to the unexplained death of Brittany Murphy. The pressure has been mounting ever since rumors began to circulate that the federal government could reopen Brittany's case, and it is currently at an all-time high. Even though Diddy's situation already appeared dire, there are now rumors that one of his long-standing friends may be prepared to come clean. Since his arrest in September of last year, Diddy's name has been in the news constantly, and the information that is coming to light only makes it more sinister. From trafficking and racketeering to transferring people for unlawful purposes and making them labor in appalling conditions, the man is facing a long list of serious allegations. And things are only becoming messier now that his trial is actually starting this month. As more alleged victims come forward, people are now delving deeply into his past and focusing on all of the people he once hung out with. Additionally, Ashton Kutcher's name keeps coming up. Now, you may be wondering, Ashton and Diddy? If you only learned about this today, really? But sure, despite Ashton's recent distance, particularly after the arrest, these two have a long history together. Okay, magazine claims that Ashton and Diddy bonded right away when they first met in the early 2000s. In 2019, Ashton even discussed it on Hot Ones, claiming that their friendship began in the most peculiar way. He heard Diddy say, "You cannot punch me." In response, Ashton said, "Everyone is on the table. I do not know what to tell you." They became close after that, and they spent all of their time together watching football and having a good time like brothers. However, now that Diddy is in the public eye, his close circle is receiving a lot of side-eye. Furthermore, Ashton's connection is not being disregarded, particularly since Ashton and Diddy have long been connected to Brittany Murphy's strange and terrible demise. Even though Brittany's untimely death in 2009 rocked Hollywood, a lot of things still do not make sense. According to reports, Brittany passed out in the bathroom of the house she shared with her mother, Sharon Murphy, and husband, Simon Monjack. When things quickly got out of hand, Sharon dialed 911, and Brittany was taken to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles.
She's a Scorpio. Oh, what else do you need to know?
I'm a double Scorpio.
Double Scorpio.
She evidently collapsed in.
Unfortunately, though, she did not make it. People have been curious about what actually transpired that evening ever since. At the time, Brittany Murphy's death was officially attributed to pneumonia. Let us face it, though, that did not sit well with many people. Brittany reportedly told her friends that she felt like she was being watched. And more terrifying, she thought she was being gradually poisoned. Cool, huh? The story takes an even darker turn just when you think it can get much creepier, because Brittany's death and the 2018 death of Diddy's ex-girlfriend Kim Porter, who was the mother of 3 of his children, have some striking similarities. In the days before her death, Kim Porter, like Brittany, apparently confided in others that she feared for her life. What was the cause of death listed by the Los Angeles County coroner? Brittany's autopsy report mentions lobar pneumonia, which is exactly what happened. According to reports, 2 young women who are related to Diddy are both afraid for their lives, and they both passed away from the same peculiar kind of pneumonia? It is just too suspicious to be a coincidence. Come on. And here's the thing, there are reports that Kim was preparing a book that would reveal important details about Diddy. According to others, she even considered working with federal investigators. Then she suddenly disappears. As simple as that. Simon Monjack, Brittany's husband, also generated a lot of warning flags in her world. People were immediately suspicious because he did not even want Brittany's autopsy performed. Since he was legally unable to stop it, the coroner proceeded, ultimately declaring it an accidental death brought on by pneumonia, anemia, and other narcotic compounds in her system. However, no one was comfortable with that explanation, particularly because Simon passed only a few months later in the same home from the same causes, pneumonia and anemia. What are the chances? And it only becomes more bizarre. The coroner's office first declined to identify the drugs that were discovered in Brittany's system. According to ABC News, that action merely added fuel to the flame.
A little dip she was having, he came along. And I think that's where her judgment was muddled and she became prey
Simon said that he was the largest collector of Vermeer, dated Elle Macpherson and Madonna. He said that he had been dying from terminal brain cancer and that he had bought an experimental treatment derived from the fins of sharks.
Simon attempted to dismiss it all by telling People magazine that Brittany had merely been taking cough syrup, period medications, and herbal medicines. Nothing dangerous or serious, but that did not sit well with the fans. Furthermore, Brittany's mother, Sharon, made matters worse. She supported Simon's claim that Brittany did not even drink alcohol or take drugs. One terrifying detail eclipsed Sharon's suggestion that her daughter may have had an unidentified cardiac condition. After Brittany told People that she believed someone was poisoning her, the situation simply descended into a nightmare zone. Brittany was very frightened. She confided in pals that she thought someone was trying to harm her. She even installed CCTV cameras and fingerprint locks throughout her home. Unless they actually feel threatened, who does that? The mold theory followed. There were rumors of poisonous mold in Brittany's Hollywood Hills home shortly after her death. All of a sudden, Simon and Sharon began to make claims. Perhaps that was the reason behind her death. This is where things get murky, though. They vehemently objected when investigators requested mold testing to verify it. For example, if you truly believe that mold was the issue, why would you block it? It simply does not make sense. And you know what? The entire mold notion was a complete bust. Dr. Richard Shepard, a forensic pathologist, shut it down entirely. He stated Brittany's bloodstream and lungs showed no evidence of mold. Thus, the theory was disproved. But Brittany's great dread of being poisoned, that portion still haunts people. Additionally, it presents a really unsettling image. Brittany was reportedly extremely worried in the months before her death. She honestly believed that someone was trying to hurt her, so she avoided eating and drinking from specific establishments.
A single word out of his mouth was a lie.
We all were scared and freaked out. Like, who was this guy?
Once they got married, they were holed up in that house 24/7.
Nobody got close to her.
According to friends, she thought influential people in Hollywood were keeping a negative eye on her. Individuals with malicious intent, not to mention the most significant warning sign in her life. Simon Monjack, her husband, was suspicious from the beginning. He possessed a weird aura that no one could ignore, was much older, and was surrounded by controversy. Brittany was only 17 when she first met him. Furthermore, his name was already associated with deception, deceit, and other unsavory practices. Many of her acquaintances believed he was taking advantage of her. Looking back, it is difficult to deny that they were right on the money. They had a strange, lonely, and maybe hazardous connection. Not to mention that Simon passed away in the same home 5 months after Brittany for the identical reasons described in the study. Anemia and pneumonia. Like, how is that not suspicious, please? This situation just does not make sense in enough ways. Brittany's increasing paranoia, the matching deaths, and all the concealment. Whatever happened in that residence was not a tragic mishap. Behind the scenes, something much sinister was skulking. Take a moment to reflect deeply. How likely is it that two otherwise healthy adults will simply die from the same thing in the same location just a few months apart? Not only is that strange, but it is extremely concerning. Then things truly took a crazy and twisted turn when that mold notion was disregarded. Years later, Angelo Bertolotti, Brittany's father, was not at all convinced by the official narrative. To find the truth, he brought in a private lab and went full detective. And what did they find? Terrifying. Brittany's hair has abnormally high concentrations of heavy metals. According to the lab, we are talking about things that are often exclusively found in bug killer or rat poison.
The HBO documentary, What Happened, Brittany Murphy, alleges Monjack was a con artist and contributed to her death. Brittany's friend, actress Kathy Najimy, appears in the documentary.
During a little dip she was having, he came along. And I think that's where her judgment was muddled.
What about Angelo? He did not mince words. He stated unequivocally that he thought Brittany had been murdered. The true question, though, is this: why was none of this discovered during the initial autopsy? Experts claim that the coroner's office never even performed a poisoning test, since no one formally mentioned it. However, that is the most absurd aspect. Brittany openly expressed her belief that she was being poisoned, but no one checked. Everyone is still talking about it and speculating about what actually transpired in that house. And just when you believe there is no more twist to the tale, Ashton Kutcher reappears abruptly. There are rumors that Ashton is far more knowledgeable than he ever admitted. Additionally, Ashton might be prepared to speak up now that Diddy is being scrutinized. He has some important information that might upend everything, according to sources. Things that link Diddy to Brittany's last days, as well as to dubious economic dealings. Ashton was running in the same Hollywood circles, you see. The intimate gatherings, the exclusive parties, and the unspoken relationships that were never reported by the tabloids. Brittany was attempting to distance herself from everything at the time. Because she was afraid, she was retreating and alerting others to the shadows that lie behind the glamour. According to reports, Ashton saw some of that personally. People now speculate that he may be preparing to prove Brittany's suspicions were not unfounded. According to insiders, Ashton was worried about what was happening behind closed doors, not only with Brittany, but also with other professionals in the field. Additionally, Ashton's name is being floated in all the right and wrong circles as Diddy's legal team scrambles and more victims come forward. People are now questioning whether his silence was due to fear, or did he have someone in his sights? There is little doubt that the case could be completely blown up if Ashton does come forward with evidence. We are discussing potential connections between Brittany's paranoia, Diddy, strange murders, and an entire Hollywood underground culture of power, fear, and silence. If Ashton is prepared to speak, then hold on tight, for the truth may finally be out. No one paid attention to her pleas to be taken seriously. Furthermore, it does not seem appropriate when you consider that Sharon and Simon, yes, her own mother and husband, were allegedly obstructing investigations everywhere. It smells like a complete and utter cover-up. After Brittany's death, there was constant murmuring about her mother, who resided in that house and said she was very close to her daughter. After Brittany's passing, there were rumors that Sharon and Simon had become too close. Strangely close, actually.
And she became prey. We all were scared and freaked out. Like, who was this guy?
And there's this shocking claim.
Simon said that he dated Elle Macpherson and Madonna. He said that he had been dying from terminal brain cancer and that he had bought an experimental treatment derived from the fins of sharks. Every single word out of his mouth was all.
Then all of a sudden, Simon also dies. Sharon immediately sells the house and dismisses the mold issue as if it never occurred. There was silence, no struggle for clarification, no demand for more research. And really, would you not be demanding the truth if your daughter passed away under strange, inexplicable circumstances? Why did she not scream for justice? And the controversy from Hollywood spills over here. While some admirers think Brittany had even more formidable adversaries, others are certain Sharon and Simon were concealing something significant. Brittany was allegedly blacklisted for refusing to participate in the bizarre Hollywood game, which was purportedly connected to Diddy's notorious freak-off parties. Yes, those gatherings. What role does Brittany play in all of that chaos then? Let us take a moment to go back. Do you recall her brief affair with Ashton Kutcher? After filming Just Married, they began dating in 2002, and rumors had it that they were even engaged. They were seen wearing rings that matched. Plot twist. They were finished in 5 months. And why? Ashton allegedly cheated on Brittany with Demi Moore, who shockingly was also said to attend Diddy's exclusive parties. And all of you? That timeline is really dubious. Shortly after he and Brittany parted ways, Ashton went public with Demi. Coincidence? Maybe. This is where it gets cool though. There is now speculation that Brittany, like Kim Porter, may have learned too much about the true nature of those chaotic events. Rumor has claimed that Brittany obtained some devastating information about Ashton and Diddy. Indeed, unnamed sources are claiming that the federal government may already have the evidence.
Now, what time would your party start, let's say?
Like 9:30.
Really? That early?
Yeah.
I could make that.
Yeah.
But I could think of you of starting a party at like midnight. Like what time will it go till?
That's a different type of party.
Uh-huh.
No, it'll go from like 9:30 to like maybe 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock. And then, you know, we have the top 2 floors of the hotel.
Mm-hmm. And then it will carry on there?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then no, I mean the after party.
Mm-hmm. No, I know about them.
The more people figure out what Diddy is about, the more things start to make sense. Oh, and I never thought it would get to this point, but Steven Twitch Boss has joined the conversation.
Yo, Ella, we go so far back. Don't tell these people how far back we go.
I know, but I wear t-shirts. I don't know what that means. Anyway, all right, let's...
I mean,
Do all that.
okay.
All right.
It would take two if the joke didn't work. I
No,
mean, I don't want no problem.
No, it's okay.
No, hold on. Hey, so
Twitch was unquestionably one of the most adored personalities on daytime TV and the lifeblood of the Ellen DeGeneres show. But was there anything more sinister going on in the background, behind the lights, the celebrity, and the smooth dancing? The whispers are starting to become louder once more. According to what I am currently learning, Twitch might have killed himself because he was starting to reveal some of the hardships he had to endure in Hollywood. I am referring to the now famous Diddy freak-offs, for example, allegedly. And what do you know? It was all allegedly related to Ellen DeGeneres.
What time do you stay up till?
I stay up till like maybe 6 in the morning. I'm back up at like 10:30, 11.
6 in the morning. What do you do every night till 6 in the morning? You don't go to clubs every night.
No, I mean, I make love a lot.
That's my favorite answer ever.
Yeah. I told you when I came on the show I was going to be completely honest and expose myself to the world.
Basically, folks are now wondering if Twitch saw anything because he has been with Ellen everywhere. Did he receive an invitation to those notorious parties we frequently hear about? Was Twitch compelled to commit suicide because he was involved in something he did not sign up for? Recall that there was a story of a note left by Twitch. The LAPD also confirmed that he mentioned previous difficulties he was still having, even though the investigators who discovered the message did not elaborate on what it said. However, this is where things become even more bizarre. According to internet speculations, Twitch may have captured a voicemail or similar recording regarding the actual events that took place during these exclusive events. Additionally, there was a lot of serious discussion regarding Diddy's free calls. So, are these merely conspiracies on the internet, or is the story about something else? Love, take a seat. People argued that Twitch's death did not make sense at the time because, among other things, he had recently celebrated his 9th anniversary with his wife Allison by posting old photos from their wedding and saying, "Happy anniversary, my love," at Allison Holker, #9 years. Furthermore, Twitch and Allison were discussing the possibility of having a second child. Therefore, it was illogical for him to simply end his own life. Fans naturally began investigating to see if there was a reason why Twitch decided to end his life. Additionally, it was frequently mentioned that Twitch planned to expose Ellen, so she staged his death to make it appear as though he committed suicide. Naturally, it did not help that Twitch's pal Todrick Hall said that the Ellen DeGeneres incident was putting pressure on Twitch.
He was on Ellen and Ellen was being canceled. People were looking at him saying, "Why are you supporting this woman?" And I think that is just a lot of pressure. Human beings are not designed to handle that much pressure. And when I was talking about my experience, his face was like, "I know." And he was just like, "It's a lot."
As you may recall, in 2020, a number of former employees accused Ellen of permitting a culture of color-based discrimination, intimidation, and terror. She claimed she was unaware of the accusations, although vehemently disputing them.
As you may have heard, this summer there were allegations of a toxic work environment at our show, and then there was an investigation. I learned that things happened here that never should have happened. I take that very seriously, and I want to say I am so sorry to the people who were affected. I know that I'm in a position of privilege and power, and I realize that with that comes responsibility, and I take responsibility for what happens at my show. This is the Ellen DeGeneres Show. I am Ellen DeGeneres. My name is there. My name is there. My name is on underwear. We have had a lot of conversations over the last few weeks about the show, our workplace, and what we want for the future. We have made the necessary changes, and today we are starting a new chapter.
Well, some claim that Twitch's stress was caused by the show's pressure, but that was not the only one. According to the rumors, Twitch might have discovered inappropriate information on Ellen and other business figures such as Diddy. The problem is that Twitch was also close to Ellen, and because of their friendship, she reportedly took him to 2 of Diddy's parties, among other venues in Hollywood. Diddy was not a frequent guest on the Ellen Show throughout the years. As everyone who followed the show knows, in one specific interview, Diddy even asked Ellen why she never showed up to his parties.
So tell me about your birthday party. Am I invited?
Yes. Yes, you're definitely invited. I invite you to all my parties. You just haven't seemed to show up.
No, well, is it on the East Coast?
Yes.
Well, that's why. Why don't you have one here on the West Coast? Because I work all the time.
Okay, well, maybe I have one extra.
Ellen was invited to all of the parties, but she never went because they were too far away, not because she thought they were too dubious. What is even more intriguing is that Diddy informed Ellen that parties that begin after midnight are a different kind of party, and it seemed like Ellen understood exactly what he was talking about. This same Ellen has also been pictured with Diddy at his events, so it is possible that she eventually found time to go to the parties. Given that we are discussing someone who was involved in the Wayfair scandal involving the sale of furniture at exorbitant prices with children inside, it has been suggested on a few occasions that Ellen may have attended the less well-publicized events at Diddy's house, where disturbing and possibly illegal activities allegedly occurred. At the time the scandal was making headlines, it was reported that the cabinets were being sold for up to $10,000, and that their names were linked to people who had been reported missing, including Naraya, Olivia, Samaya, and Yaritza Ellen were in the center of this controversy. Fans are starting to make connections as a result of Diddy's conviction, and they completely understand how Twitch might have discovered some extremely damning information, particularly in light of the claim that Diddy was exposed in a voicemail. Many thanks to all of you. It makes it more plausible that he had to end his life after discovering harmful information. But wait, guess who else might know even more about Twitch? Possibly recording a voicemail that revealed Diddy. Allison Holker, his former spouse.
It was a really scary moment in my life to figure that out, but it also helped me process that he was going through so much and he was hiding so much, and there must have been a lot of shame in that, and he was wrestling with a lot inside himself, and he was trying to self-medicate and cope with all those feelings because he didn't want to put it on anyone.
You see, Allison went to them rather than phoning the police when she realized that Twitch was not home. She was aware that something negative had occurred. She then did interviews months later, which many people felt were soulless and that she gave too much information. Actually, Allison stated in one of her recent interviews that she was with a very close friend when they were organizing their closet and choosing Twitch funeral attire, when she uncovered a cornucopia of substances, including mushrooms, pills, and other substances she had to look up on her phone, hidden inside Twitch shoeboxes. Based on what she said, she believes she and Twitch had very honest communication, including about his marijuana use. In fact, she said that at night after their kids went to bed, he would quietly slip into their guest house to smoke or drink. She said that was his alone time, and it was his time to recharge. And that was okay. The items she discovered in his shoeboxes, however, were unexpected. Additionally, she stated that in the days leading up to his death, Twitch was acting withdrawn, showering less frequently, and smoking morning and night, and told her that he was going through a low period, but he was very careful about his wording. In addition, Allison claimed that she read through his journals in an attempt to gain understanding and closure following his passing, and discovered that her husband had kept upsetting secrets from even his closest friends and family. According to her, he was wrestling with a lot inside himself, and he was trying to self-medicate and cope with all those feelings because he didn't want to put it on anyone because he loved everyone so much. He didn't want other people to take on his pain. She also claimed that in multiple journal entries, which made references to being assaulted as a child, which might have had an impact on him till the day of his death. Allison has received a lot of flack for appearing shady and knowing exactly what was going on, in addition to insulting Twitch and his family by disclosing too much. Dariel, Twitch's cousin, was one of the family members who revealed that Allison made the family sign non-disclosure agreements in order for them to attend his funeral. And after stating that she doesn't care about the NDA, Dariel also wrote that contrary to what Allison was trying to imply, Twitch wasn't an addict. He smoked weed and was actively trying to quit, but he wasn't some junkie. Furthermore, Dre, Twitch's brother, asserted that his side of the family has not been allowed to see the kids since his brother's death. In fact, he claimed on Instagram that his mother and grandparents were being treated disrespectfully and excluded from family matters while they attempted to come to terms with Twitch's passing. Dre went on to say that his late brother's 3 children had had very little contact with their grandmother and the rest of the family without specifically mentioning their mother. He said that Allison was preventing them from seeing the kids because the family disagreed with some of the requirements of the NDA she had given them to sign. I am not sure what exactly was in the NDA that she was making her family members sign, but rumors have it that it contained a lot more. Indeed, since Twitch's passing, there have been rumors that Allison is concealing something. What precisely did Twitch blunder into? We must now ask. Were the demands of celebrity the only cause? Or something darker lurking beneath the surface of Hollywood? There are also the stories and whispers that never go away concerning Diddy's notorious freak-offs, which were exclusively attended by the privileged. Was Twitch present? Was there something he saw? Or perhaps he should have recorded something? I am not claiming to know all the answers, but I would be interested in hearing your opinions. Tell me then in the space provided for comments below.